Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. A few days ago, I was meditating and I asked the divine to give me um, inspiration on what to talk about, like what he wanted to talk about. And so I got a vision of when I was a kid and I stayed with a family member for a little while. That wasn't my mom and those who I grew up with. And so anyway, so I stayed with this family member for a couple of years, and it was, to say traumatizing is putting it mildly. It was absolutely horrible. I hated going home. It was always great when we would go out in places, and we went out places a lot. Like these relatives were very actively involved in different things. They were part of a Mason household, and but the amount of over discipline and harsh teaching and expectations and manipulation and oppression, it was horrible. It was an absolutely horrible experience. I remember one time I got a D. I think it was in gym, like elementary school, you get a gym grade, and I got a spanking every day before school and every evening before I went to bed for the rest of that next grading period, to remind me to do well in school. So that's like the type of trauma that I'm talking about, right? And so then that vision came to me, and then work was really crazy, like absolutely crazy. I worked overtime like every single day, long days, and so then I just wasn't able to get to it. And and I was like, wow, why would I share something like that, and but it's been kind of sitting with me. And I think one of the main things, because you guys know, like I love politics. I love the divine. I love children. I love spirituality. I love politics. I love people. But so I love life. I love nature, the ocean. But anyway, so back to politics. I think the reason the divine wanted me to kind of express a little bit about my own trauma is because the current state that we're in as a nation is pretty kind of traumatic for people. People don't want to listen, know what's going on. In the news, you can't listen to stuff. I mean, I can remember since I was a kid, there's wars, and I'm not saying that in a heartless way. It just seems that until we band together as people to fight these systems and to stop allowing the elite few to dictate what our standards are and how we live and what is acceptable, and to stop hoarding resources and stealing and all that kind of stuff, we will continue to have wars on earth. And we are in a pendulum. We're in the midst of a pendulum change, of a social change, of a cultural change, of a consciousness change on the planet. And one of the things we always have to consider is, in order for things to change, we have to acknowledge the state that we're in, or the state that we have been in, and the things that need to change. If things are great, then there's no need for change, which is one of the biggest benefits of our current social system and just energy right now, is that it's so chaotic. There's so much obvious corruption. There's so, like, things are just so out there that it makes it obvious that there is a need for change. Like today, I guess over the weekend, there was a pastor in maybe Minnesota, very conservative pastor, who just kind of laid on this current administration and the leaders and the sycophants that support this administration and all the so-called Christians. And, was talking about just the total corruption. But, the first time this administration was, there weren't as many conservative, quote-unquote, Christian preachers saying anything, because it didn't impact them. But now it's so bad and it's so obvious that it's impacting everybody, and more people are speaking up, and so that is the benefit of things being bad, is that you can really see what needs to change. And then there's more people who also are able to see, because some people don't see, they can't, their brains don't work where they can connect the dots very far. It's like it's got to be right in front of them. They can't look here. They can't do pattern recognition and go, okay, well, A B A B A B A B G A B A B A B G. They can't do that and go down and look in the future and see where this certain pattern will go. And so they need things like right in their face. And so back to my personal trauma, I think what we're seeing is that these current situations are able to happen because so many people have been traumatized. And in our current culture, you're shamed. There's not an acceptance of it. There's not, all different kinds of trauma. But people are not given, a lot of people don't have access to mental health help. People don't have access to safe places. People don't have access to people they can talk to. And we shut those things down and we cope the best way we can. And so because there's so much shame when things come up, and people have buried the stuff in their own hearts for so long that they don't recognize stuff because they don't want to go there. And it's too traumatic for them to face the things that happen to them, because they unfortunately take on the guilt that the oppressor and the abuser should have. But the thing about it is that these people who abuse in any way don't have guilt. They don't feel guilt. They feel justified in their perspective and in their thoughts and in their way. And it takes the people who have felt the brunt and the pain of what's been dumped on them, and they carry that guilt. And and so today there was this guy. I went on Facebook. I think I was looking for a lawnmower because my lawnmower broke in the fall, and I was like, oh, I better hurry up and get a lawnmower, and maybe I can buy one really cheap on Marketplace. And so anyway, so this guy comes up on my feed, and I don't know why I clicked on him, but it was these little cards he was showing, and he was talking about how he came out about being abused, and he was abused by his dad, and in a more intimate way. But then he found out that his dad had also been abused. His dad died young, and I guess dad died when he was, I don't know if he was like 12, something like that. And so he has a book that's out, and but through his own recovery and exposing this and talking about it, he has helped many other people face their own history of abuse. And that is a beautiful thing, because as people, we should have no shame in what we've gone through, as long as we're learning and healing healing ourselves and helping other people to heal. But when we grow up and we're in this system of shame, this system of it, our empowerment is taken away from us, then these behaviors and this culture tends to grow and to fester. And so I don't know if there's anybody that needs to hear this. I don't know. I mean, obviously there's somebody that needs to hear this, so I don't mean to say that. But I guess what I'm saying is I don't know if maybe someone needs to come to terms, and not in a guilty way, not in a traumatic way where like, oh my gosh, we're so damaged because been through yada yada yada, but to face the survivor in yourself, you know, the transformer in yourself, the beautiful, like you're the beautiful flower that grows up through the sidewalk. Sometimes I remember when I was a kid, I used to always be amazed. Like you walk through different areas or through an old lot, or you know, someone's driveway or something, and there's like plants that grow up through these cracks, and they thrive and they survive, and you know, you can see tree trunks that grow up and crack cement and all kinds of stuff, right? And because it's resilient, you can't keep life down. And so I think so many of us really need to embrace the resilience within ourselves. We need to embrace the resilience within each other. We need to feel free to allow our hearts to heal, so that we can look at the world with clear eyes and clear judgment and clear understanding, and because when we lock things down, they fester and they grow and they rot, and then, you know, you have something that's rotting, you get rotten stuff that grows in it, right? You get maggots, you get flies, you get all the stuff that's not the flower growing up in the concrete. But guys, this is a time where as individuals, as a collective, as families, that we are meant to embrace all of life, and not segment our lives. Here's our spirituality, and here's our work, and here is our here's the politics, and here's the school. And it's a time for us to be whole, you know, to embrace everything that's on the plate of who we are as an individual, who we are as a society, and blend those aspects together, and to be able to see how they work together. Because as long as we just focus on things so separate, we miss things, and we're not able to see the pattern of how they're connected, and we're more easily misled and manipulated, and it's harder for us to unify as people to make incredible change in our lives and in the lives of other people. And so I did pull a couple of cards. I pulled them already because sometimes it's like loud and noisy and I'm in the car. And so, I think I've got 5 cards. All right. And so the first card that came out was the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is, I just broke my nail. It's all about, you know, not political, but sometimes religion is political. And at one time, religion was very political. It was an essential part of the government, and I mean, that's another talk, but we can still talk about the influence. I mean, we can see it obviously now, the influence of Christianity trying to get back into controlling society, you know. But anyway, it talks about systems, you know, the systems that be not rocking the norms, being a part of the norms. And in many times that's a good thing, you know, like Going to school is a norm, and that's a good thing. There's many good things about that. Getting married is a norm, and there's a lot of good things about that. But we can't be controlled by what the norms are when we have other dreams in our hearts, when we have other experiences in our lives, and we need to be able to incorporate that. And I think sometimes as a quote unquote minority, and when you've faced other things and you've been on the outside, or you've been around other groups of people that challenge your thinking, challenge and live in different ways and have different customs, your mind is geared more towards adaptation, towards individuality and differences, and a blending of different fabrics and colors and patterns for cohesion. And but when you don't grow up with that, when you grow up in a society or in a community that is very homogenous, very similar to yourself, you don't naturally, for most people, life doesn't teach you that ability in that situation to be able to see the world in a bigger way. And so then it's very easy for us to get trapped into what the expectations for us are. And I think of like all the scandals, right? The Catholic Church, the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon Church. I keep getting these calls. There's been a lot of scandals in the church, even, Baptist Church, there's the Boy Scouts, there's so many scandals, and there's so many people that are impacted, and you think, how could this have been like under wraps for so long? But it's because we get taught by these norms to be quiet, to feel shame that we're the only ones, that to be forgiving, to all these different things, and they make it easy to manipulate society. Now I know the Hierophant is like the spiritual leader, and it is a good card, and there are norms that are okay, but the message that the divine put on my heart was more about us feeling free to be ourselves, and seeing these things, seeing how the norms can limit our view and limit our expectations or limit our action and standing up, and kind of can be sometimes more of a control and handcuffs on us than it is the freedom that we are meant to feel and to live and experience in our lives. And that leads to the next one, was the Nine of Pentacles. And talking about freedom, the Nine of Pentacles is about someone who has grown their own harvest, who has planted their seeds and worked the land, so to speak, and has a harvest, and is living an abundant life from all that they've done. And that's what happens when we open up, and we allow ourselves, our true selves, to shine through, when we allow our passions, when we allow ourselves to step out of the norm and to invest in the things that are important to us, the things that we love, the things that we that make us happy, that bring us joy, we're able to reap in this harvest. And then it talks about, we've got the Three of Cups of celebration. And when we do that, we get celebration, and there's celebration coming in our lives. The more we open up, the more we speak up, the more we share ourselves, the more we allow our natural self to wonder and to expand and to connect and to release all the toxic stuff that may have happened in our past, right? When we release that stuff, it gives us the more freedom to create our own abundance and our own happiness and our own wealth and the true joy of living. And then we're able to celebrate that with other people, to have true celebration, to have true freedom, to have true joy. And I just think of that young gentleman who's talking about how once he faced his own trauma and started speaking up, how many people he has been able to help and how many lives he's been able to transform just through transforming his own life and dealing with his own issues, not hiding it, not pretending that something didn't happen that did. And this is the divine's desire for all of us this year, this month, this week, is to feel this expansion, especially in this new age, throughout this time period in our lives, is to feel this joy, to feel this connection. And when we have people that we can truly bond with and express ourselves in a talk, it's amazing. Sometimes you just say stuff and the connection that happens and the power. This is what we are destined to reap in for ourselves, is this joy of connection. And then there was the Six of Swords, which is the transformation, the leaving behind. When we open up, when we talk, we can leave behind all that harsh guilt and garbage and just the yuck. We leave it behind because we've dealt with it and we've got people in our corner and we're off to even bigger and better lands, not just of wealth and prosperity on the outside, but the feeling of wholeness, of clear-mindedness, of new opportunities, new experiences, new relationships in our lives. And then lastly, what came out was the Ace of Swords, which is having a new perspective, a renewed perspective, or maybe even a renewed hope, but new clarity. We're able to see things that we were blind to in the past. We're able to see new things, new opportunities, new perspectives. But in relation to the stuff that I'm talking about, we're able to see the patterns. We're able to see things that happen so that we can help make changes in the world, or we can help and stand up and make change. And sometimes it's not that we're so much going out to change the whole world, but we see something that we can add to make things better. And we understand that, and that's all clarity. That's inspiration and clarity from the divine, and the divine desires to use you, to use me, to inspire other people. We, for our minds to be clear and unburdened, and just to be able to reap the blessings and the joy of that. Sometimes life can seem so heavy and we run from things, but so often when we face those things that seem heavy, we realize, oh my gosh, that wasn't so bad. It didn't take so much. I did pull another card, didn't look at it. It's Unplug from Mass Consciousness. This is this one. I wonder if I pulled that one before, but let me read that and let's see how that connects with this. What number is that? Unplugging from Mass Consciousness 7. Says there is a belief system based on fear, doubt, and distrust that is known as mass consciousness. This belief system says it is safer to stay with the crowd, to not question what you have been taught, to accept what you hear in the media or even in a book in school or from your employer, your parents, or your peers. It tells you that you cannot trust the divine to take care of your financial well-being or your emotional needs. It tells you that you should be afraid and not take risks. It tells you that if you dare to stand up and live your truths, you will be lost and alone, humiliated, rejected, or even destroyed. You're being guided to unplug from that system of beliefs. You are capable of a more creative, imaginative, realistic, and loving, soulful way of living. To access this more truthful way, you must let go of the way that is too small for your soul. So that, like, beautifully puts what I was trying to say, and it says it so much better, and there's the balance, right, of communal thought, but then there with stepping away and stepping into ourselves, right, our individuality, our creativity, our own thoughts, and then through that being able to have like the new thoughts, right, the new clarity. And it's funny because like the Nine of Pentacles is really about creating our abundance and our wealth and stepping out on our inspirations. It's kind of an internal solo thing. It's not group success, but it's individual success, which we talked a little bit about. And then even when I was talking about the Hierophant, and I kind of had it on the perspective of, like, we need to not just allow systems that are to control the way we think and we feel and we act and respond, right? There's a goodness to them, but we have to look and be true to ourselves, right? And adapt that way. And so I believe this unplug from the mass consciousness is saying the same thing. It's unplugging from the system structures. It's not unplugging from caring about our neighbor or caring about our family or caring about whatever our individual desires are, but it's allowing the way things are structured to continue to impact the way that we view things. It's allowing ourselves to step away so that we can see new truths, so that we can see things on a deeper level, so that we can get down to the roots and really see, so that there can be true change, true joy, true love, true connection, and true transformation. I might read one more paragraph. It says, you are brave and aware enough to think outside the square, beyond what society or your peers may consider normal. This is part of your spiritual life purpose. This card brings you a message of support. You are supposed to be questioning things right now, perhaps feeling confused as you wonder why the things you once believed in don't seem quite reliable anymore. You are in a transition from one way of thinking to another. Right? Transition of one way of thinking to another. Opening up to a new world, which you can accept and trust enough. And that is a confirmation that it is happening fast. It is coming for you. And I hope it doesn't keep going on for long. Because it's the car over there. Nope, it stopped. But that was a confirmation, right? You are in a transition from one way of thinking to another, opening up to a new world which you can accept and trust enough to live in because of the upgraded beliefs you are cultivating. This is a sign of growth, and it is a good place to be in, even if it's not always comfortable. No matter how much others may be resisting or criticizing your choices and beliefs, perhaps because your new thoughts and ideas take you away from the world that they feel comfortable in. Your higher guidance encourages you to keep exploring new ideas and opening your mind to the unusual and out of the ordinary. If you have been thinking along new lines, trust yourself and your process. Unplugging from known belief system will seem scary at first, but once you realize all the benefits gained from going through that self-liberating process, you will enjoy it much more. This process will bring you freedom and empowerment to work with your belief system more consciously. right? Freedom and empowerment. And in doing so, live a life that better expresses your heart, you know, and the abundance that comes with that. Okay. Heart and soul. Then opportunities, connections, and communities can open up to you in ways that defy your old beliefs. You can, with this change in your belief system, give yourself permission to step into an entirely new life while still being you. And I think we will end it there. Because as we open up, as we let go of the past, as we clean our closets, as we let go of shame that's not ours, as we let go of the structures that are created to limit us and to control how we think and interact with one another, as we let go of those, as we step into who we truly are, as we look at things with new insight and new light and new depth, we become our best selves, and we help make this the best world, right? So anyway, thank you for your time that you spent with me. Much love, much light. If this has touched you in any way, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Thank you for spending time with me today.